To anybody that's out there that thinks that this entrepreneurship thing is too hard, they can't figure it out, what I want to say to you is you have to believe that right now your current situation is not your final destination. And the moment that you start focusing on the solutions rather than the problems is when you get the momentum to turn for change. Believe in your ability to figure it out. When you're on the road to success, when people see you shift and turn, the universe, God, will provide you everything that you need. Everything that you need is already around you. It's just your awareness to the solution that you start looking for. And when you start sharing and talking and communicating, you know they say a closed mouth don't get fed. When you start saying, hey man, I'm trying to get on as many podcasts as I can. Hey man, I'm starting this nonprofit. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to help these young kids. People will get behind what you're trying to do when they see you on a journey, because we love to be a part of something. But a lot of times we just dwell in our own mind and wallow in the things that we have going on because life is tough. Your current situation is not your final destination. And in any instant, your life can change. And it starts with a decision that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're fed up with having all the reasons why it won't work. And you need to start looking and leaning towards just finding one reason why.
Save your way out of poverty. If the bank is going to take your money invested in real estate, how come we not doing that? We got to focus on ownership. We have to own shit. I love investing in real estate. It's the one tangible asset class that has stood the test of time.
Peace, family. What's going on? Will Roundtree here for the Full-Time CEO podcast, where we interview dope individuals, entrepreneurs, businessmen, businesswomen, people from the culture, and more importantly, we interview legends. I like to say icons. What you think, Eddie? Icons in the making? Look, today we got a very special, well, first of all my guests are special if they are on the Full-Time CEO podcast, because more importantly, it's about the story. You know, in my second book, Full-Time CEO, the shit they don't tell you, I talk about the unglamorized side of entrepreneurship, because everybody out here selling wolf tickets. Look, one of the many things I've learned in entrepreneurship is that it is expensive just to try. If you're not willing to go all in for your dreams, for your goals, you are just hoping. And hope is at the very bottom of the totem pole. And today we have an individual who did more than hope. He bet it all on himself. Look, I'm excited. Let me tell you what he's been doing for a very long time. I'm sitting here with somebody who's done over 20 million in sales. It was 100 million in client results. I would like to say that, you know, whenever someone is like, man, why should I choose you? It's because he's getting people results, clearly. Over 1,200 plus professionals coached across in the insurance, finance, and digital industries. So he's covering, I like to call it the holy trinity of wealth building. Over 500,000 followers and over 12 million monthly views across all platforms. Clearly, people are paying attention. Featured speaker at top industry events alongside 8- and 9-figure entrepreneurs. And one of my favorite stat lines, he has a book that is getting ready to drop November.
Yes.
Oh, okay. He said he got to get it to y'all. He getting the rush copy to y'all. He is the author of Productize, the one-person business blueprint for experts, coaches, and consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, I could keep going on, but it would just be a show full of his stat lines. So today I have the pleasure of being here with the legend, Mr. Arturo Johnson. What's going on, man?
It's good, man. Happy to be here. Super excited. Thanks for having me, God. It's good, bro.
Look, when you first came in, you asked me, you know, how I was doing. I said, look, man, as long as I'm healthy, I'll figure the rest out.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that being on this journey of entrepreneurship, that's the part that I think a lot of people sacrifice. Mm-hmm. You know, I tell a lot of people that in the beginning of our entrepreneurship journey, at least for me, and I've been in this journey since 2003, I sacrificed my health in the beginning. But when you sacrifice your health and then you start having health challenges, you will spend every dollar getting your health back.
Facts.
And so I tell people, man, you got to find the lifestyle and marry all of those components. And so speaking of the beginning of your journey, where did your journey start at? Like, where you from? How'd you not necessarily get into this space, but where did that entrepreneurship bug hit you at?
So started on the south side of Chicago.
Okay, Chi-Town.
Yeah, Chi-Town. And the entrepreneurship bug, looking back, came from my mom. She always, was trying to make a way. And how Tupac say, every Thanksgiving, my mother made miracles.
Definitely.
My mother was making them every single day.
Wow.
And she also had the vision. So I'm from the south side of Chicago. I didn't go necessarily through the process, the schooling and all of that stuff. She had a vision that she tells me now that I wanted my black son coming from the south side of Chicago to be something, to be known.
Definitely.
And so she worked her hardest to put me in positions to where I just didn't experience just the south side of Chicago.
Right.
I experienced other cultures. I experienced how other people do things. And a lot of times the difference between rich and poor is the information that we have,
100%.
the lack of information, right, or the resources. And so from the south side of Chicago, right, growing up in Jeffrey Manor, we grew up without, we had a little was just enough, but there was always more month at the end and then money. And I watched my mom make these miracles, right? And we moved probably every other year. I stayed in a different place.
Right. So before you go on, so you said there was always more month at the end than it was money. So I'm from Milwaukee, so I understand the Midwest. When you're from the Midwest,
I'm starting to sense the trend that's going on here with this alignment.
You got to be built differently being from the Midwest. And so one of the games we used to play, I don't know if y'all used to play this. We played a game called Beat It to the Bank.
Beat It to the Bank.
Did y'all play that game?
We played Big Bank, Take Little Bank.
All right. Well, we didn't have enough money to play that game. Let me tell you what Beat It to the Bank is. Beat It to the Bank is when you hope your paycheck hits the bank account before the bills come out.
So the way I would finesse it was when I finally got a car is I would hit the gas pump with the debit card and then hit the ATM right after it because the transaction didn't hit, pull the 20 out.
Right.
So I know what you're saying here. So I was playing that. I just didn't know what that game was.
You didn't know it. So I had a championship belt in that game. So you guys, grew up in Chicago, but your parents gave you an opportunity to see outside of your block. And I think growing up, I think for a lot of young black males, they don't get to experience that.
Yeah.
How do you think that shaped you on your journey, being able to see experiences? Because I'd say that, unfortunately, it's hard for a lot of people to advance in life because they lack experiences on top of the information. So how did that assist you by seeing those experiences?
So shout out to my man, Nehemiah Davis. He always says that exposure equals expansion. And once your mind has been expanded to something, it cannot return back to its original state.
1000%.
Right? So exposure for me allowed me to see that if these people could have this thing that I don't have, there was a gap.
Definitely.
And Brandon always says the gold is in the gaps. So that had me questioning things. So once I start questioning things, I'm like, I know or believe a thing to be this way. It can't be true because I believe it to be this way, and I'm looking at something completely different, and it's not. So something's wrong here.
Definitely.
The information that I have is wrong. And so now I'm like, why? Why is this information wrong? And so I've always just kind of had that curiosity. So that's kind of what shaped me to just ask the question, why is this different?
Right.
Why is it when I get out of school and take the bus all the way back, when I'm over here, I don't have this, but I see all these resources. I see people not having to have a free lunch program, pulling up in nice cars that's their parents' cars, and like all this. I'm like, what is the difference here? And I'm like, oh, the resources and the access to the information.
Definitely.
So in looking through that lens, I question everything, even the things that I believe. I'm like, why do I believe these things? Which allowed me to stay in this childlike curiosity state where I'm always trying to make sure the thing that I'm doing or the beliefs that I believe are my beliefs, that I've come to the core that they exist.
Now,
right?
How old are you at this time?
I'm 42 years old.
No, at that time, my bad.
Oh, so at this time, I was probably 14 years ago. Okay. 14 years, so it's 97.
Very inquisitive. You're like trying to figure out why is it different over there than here?
Yeah, so I think it was 1996, beginning of my 8th grade year in Chicago. And they have a program where you can go and work at the Museum of Science and Industry. That was my first real job as a tour guide in the summer. Okay. And you just need a permit to go and work. I need to make some money. I don't have anything. I'm trying to get the newest Jordans at that time. There was only 97. Right. The East Bay book, right? I'm trying to do that.
Shout out to East Bay.
Yeah. The good old days, right?
Good old days, man.
And so I'm, you looking through that book and circling these my shoes, the pennies was in there and like all of this. And I just knew to have some money in my pocket. So I get the permit and now I'm out down there working and I'm just seeing like, that was the first aha of like seeing money just like flowing through just every single summer, right? Just millions of people coming through this. And I'm a tour guide and I'm seeing families and groups of people bring their entire family to this. And the only time I probably had been there was on a special occasion, maybe once or twice in my life.
Wow.
And I'm seeing this every single day. So I'm like, okay, why is this? And so, so that was the first kind of inkling of that. And then I ended up going to a more parochial school, which is like a nicer school in a different neighborhood. And now I'm seeing all this money. Well, obviously I'm going to be curious about that.
Definitely.
I don't have this. I'm like, why do they have this and I don't? Right? That's the natural thing to do. How did they get it? What do they family do? Right. In Chicago, a lot of people's wealth came from restaurants. So I was like, well, maybe I need to open up a restaurant. Or a lot of people, family were doctors. I didn't know anybody in my family that I thought was that smart to be a doctor. I had a bunch of street pharmacists in my family.
right. So they were,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they weren't to that respected caliber. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I didn't want to stay broke forever. And I wanted to make some money. So I just kind of paid attention to that. And being in Chicago, like you got to be 100% aware. We call it being on your P's and Q's. You always have to be on your square. So with that, it allowed me to see opportunities or like, be aware of opportunities. Right. And, in Chicago, man, you always got to be observant of your surroundings.
You have to.
When I'm looking at that, I'm trying to use that to my advantage, in a good way, right?
100%.
Coming on the South Side, sometimes you have to use stuff in that, but that's survival. But once you get out of that, that becomes your superpower. And I think that's the biggest thing that's helped me in entrepreneurship is being able to be flexible, be observant, being able to move on the dime. Even like getting in here. Yeah. He comes outside. He's like, bro, what are we going to do? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, what you think? I was like, I don't know. And the only thing I'm thinking is there's some information somewhere that I haven't thought of yet that can get me in contact with you. Mm. And so now I got to be resilient with the senses that I have, my intuition. Right. Like I'm looking at the address. That's the right address. Right. I'm looking at the paper. I'm like, okay. So there's some information around here. So I go to the website first and then I find the name. So I'm like, oh, well, let me go back to IG and then I DM you, but we're not friends. So it's probably not going to show up. So then
I don't really be on social media like that.
But I'm getting somewhere. I'm getting closer and closer to solving my problem though, right? And then I try to hit up Curtis, but he's got a name that's famous with somebody. So he's not even coming up in SEO. And then someone's like, go back. And then underneath there, because I was going to try to call you on IG because I didn't have your number. And then something on there says like message and then a contact. So I like click it and there's a phone number on there. And I call it and you pick up like, yeah, I'll be right out.
Definitely.
So opportunity, right? I'm being perspicacious, which is basically a big word for saying I'm looking for the next best opportunity that can come arising. And if I have a problem, I need to be able to think fast on my feet to solve it.
Well, a lot of people don't have that skill set, unfortunately. One of my greatest gifts I always said that God blessed me with is dealing with people. And you have doing 100 million in client results. I'm sure you've mastered that too. But the art of critical thinking, a lot of people don't have that because we haven't been put into scenarios where we have to critically think. And I say that because, and this might be a stretch, but I think personally, once a lot of people become an adult, when they don't have anything that they're striving for other than being comfortable, there's zero accountability in their life outside of just paying their bills. So they don't have to be able to critically think because all they have to do is wake up, go to work, come home, watch TV, play with the kids, do it. Like it's a very, robotic scenario. And so it's nothing they have to critically think outside of that. And that's why a lot of the times, and you've probably experienced this, when someone wants to become an entrepreneur, the first no they get, they panic. The first sign of despair that comes, they panic. So when you get clients in that realm, and we'll double back, get into your journey, but I think this is important for the viewers. Like, how do you coach someone who's never been put in a situation where they have to experience some form of growth, which is going to be vastly uncomfortable?
So, man, that's a phenomenal question. So the first thing that you have to realize that there's always two ways to look at everything:
100%.
glass full or glass empty. So what I could have done when I'm waiting out there, that we like right on time and doing anything, I could go to negative town too.
Oh, we see that a lot.
What happens when you go to negative town is you're thinking about all the things that have already gone wrong that's on the History Channel, which you can't change.
Yeah. Oh, he took my money.
Right.
Like
all
we
this
see
stuff
this all the time.
But that's a natural thing, which is like, man,
100%.
did he just get me?
Yeah.
Did he just, hit me for the whoop-de-whoop?
Right.
And then, but the other side is, okay, what are the solutions to my problems? And like, that's the value exchange for entrepreneurship is you have obsessed or thought about somebody else's problem more than they did, created a solution, and now in exchange for them to skip the school of hard knocks,
You're solving it before they even get to it.
They're paying you for it. And most of the time we solving problems that we solve for ourselves. And then we saying, hey man, you still struggling with that?
Right.
Bro, I figured it out. Let me help you. And the resistance comes with people, with that transaction. Most people stay stuck in that situation because they want to pray for it, but they don't want to pay for it.
Man, we need to put that on the shirt, Eddie. I'll split the profits with you.
Come
from
on
the
now.
Shirts, okay.
Look, so the first thing we're trying to communicate to people is, because we're just talking to Justin about this, is the process of pain that you've gone through is your badge and your right of honor because you're still here, that something worked out, which we don't never look at. That if you're still here, the story ain't over.
Right.
And that gives you the prerequisite of survival, which is the one thing we're all trying to do is survive and then thrive. We got to survive first.
Definitely.
So if you've been able to do that, that's great. Even for the mom that's couponing, right? And she might be on food stamps and she got to do the coupon flipping. And people are making a killing off of creating YouTube videos on teaching people how to coupon stack. Right? Which I didn't even know was a thing until my mom retired and her Social Security is only $1,400. How can she survive over that when her rent is $1,200? Thank God she got me. And she did have that foresight, but she don't want to depend on me either. So you know what she started doing? She watched those videos of somebody that needed to do that out of a necessity and it had to work to stack those coupons. So now she can make a living. And then she puts her entrepreneur stack on it, which is, I'm going to buy it at a discount, stacking these coupons, and then I'm going to take it to the flea market and sell it for a markup. And now we have created a profit, which is that value discrepancy for yourself. So in saying all of that, I'm giving this story to say,
100%.
When you look at the first sign of adversity, this isn't going to kill you. You've already survived the worst things or been through those things that you kind of do, but that gives you a badge of honor and a foundation and a base that you should have the fortitude, because that's what you need in entrepreneurship. It's hard. All the tough stuff that you go through, people let you down, the business lets you down.
You got to endure.
You have to endure things.
That's the biggest thing.
And you've already faced way much harder things, but you've put this goal and this thing that you want to do up on a pedestal that now it seems insurmountable, or you've given it too much power, right? And you have to take that power back. That like, if you're walking in your purpose and you take massive action and you do what you need to do, and you got a coach and your steps are ordered and you got it and you trust in your intuition, if you do it long enough, nothing can stop you from doing it. If you're doing the right thing, right? So I want to preface that by saying, if you're doing the guided steps, right? So if that's the case, then the question becomes, why can't you do it? It's like, is what can't you do?
Well, I think some of it too is people overcomplicate what success is. And, when you look up the textbook definition of the word success, it means an accomplishment of an aim or purpose. And so this is why it's important to just have milestone goals, because we assume that the goal should always be the home run. They assume the goal should just be the 100 million in client results, not knowing that sometimes just getting the ink wet on setting up the company, sometimes just taking the step and investing in yourself, sometimes just making those necessary steps are important. And so going back into that framework or that mindset, because I know you work with a lot of you coach a lot of people in different areas. Like, how do you, can you prepare someone for success when they think that success is this grandiose thing?
Yeah. So you just said that success is an accomplishment of an aim or
purpose.
right? So let's break that down, because that's a formula right there.
100%.
So in order to get success, you need to have these ingredients. Accomplishment. So where's your accomplishment going to come from? It's going to come from your ability to solve the problem for yourself first. So if you've already got that accomplishment, that kind of makes you an expert in a sense of what you've done. Because if you can't get the result for yourself,
it's
how could you get it for me?
Anybody else?
If you're supposed to be a personal trainer, but you're out of shape, why would I ever take health or fitness advice?
We see that all the time, though.
Exactly. So that's the first sign.
Right.
And then the aim, which is the number one thing. Most people are so unclear on the goals that they want.
Oh, I remember one time I was out having dinner. And, sometimes, like, usually when I go out to dinner, especially if I'm by myself, I'll sit at the bar. And regular casual dialogue with someone who was sitting next to me, and I was like, we just got to talk. I was like, what are your goals for the next 3 5? She got offended. People actually get offended
because
when
they don't
you
have
ask,
goals. That's why.
Because they don't have goals. So to your point, you're 1,000% correct. People don't have anything they're aspiring for.
Exactly. So if I'm trying to get here, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to be on this podcast. I'm going to be on Will's podcast. Oh, okay. Well, what's the estimated time of arrival? I don't know. Well, how are we going to get there? I don't know. Which direction are we going to?
Right.
Oh, I think it's over here. And what happens is when you don't have a clear goal,
right,
it leads to you not having confidence, and confidence means to confide, right? And most people don't trust themselves, right? Confide to trust is because they've broken their word to themselves so many times they don't believe a word that they say. And if you don't have clarity on the goal, clarity is the thing that leads to action.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the clear goal in mind, of course it's not going to work. Of course we're not going to get here. And that's where the frustration comes in, is because they don't have clarity. And that's why I really started on this journey, because we went to a conference where there were a bunch of people that had a message to share, and they were trying to start their podcast or trying to start this thing, and they hadn't started it. And we talked to a bunch of them, 3,000 Black people, right? And the one thing that inspired this whole movement was the reason why they didn't get started is because they didn't have clarity. That's why they were unsure of their message or who they were talking to.
Right.
And clarity is the thing that leads to action. And being unclear leads to inaction. And so that's the second piece. And then the purpose. When you get the result for yourself and you start to have some type of success in any fashion, that is the abundance thing. The giving back thing starts to be created, that value. And that abundance thing makes you want to share it. As your cup fills up and runs over, it has to go somewhere else. So then you start to wonder, like, how can I help somebody else do this same thing, right? And so that's where that purpose, that passion kind of ignites. And we were just talking, and I know these guys are the same way, right? Like, they roll around with me and they're behind the camera. But when that clip comes out or somebody sees us on the side of the road, is like, hey man, I saw your video. They, that's where they get their gratitude and their thanks from, and their recognition from that piece. So that gives you that purpose to seeing the result of the finished product that somebody else gets.
Right.
And so that's kind of the component of success, which is that accomplishment is solving something for yourself, right? Before you're trying to do something, because everybody's talking instead of walking it. And then having aim, which is a clear goal. And then using those two things to have purpose, that once you solved it for yourself, to go out and solve the problem for someone else, because money changes hands when problems are solved. And that equals success, right? That's a simple, very clear thing to understand.
Like you say, it's a formula. And like I often tell people, success has a formula. Wealth has a formula. Making money has a formula, but people don't have all of the ingredients because we just want to get the bag. Like, we're in this get the bag culture, and people aren't willing sometimes to make that investment to you so you can give them the exact formula. Because I tell people all the time, success really is 5th grade math. It's all basic stuff, but you have to do it long enough to get the desired result. And that's the thing I think that is very difficult for people in my dealings with, human beings. So let's rewind a little bit.
Quick, I want to piggyback on that too, because I think that this is the missing piece as a coach that frustrates us the most. Is you can have all the information, you can have the structure and the coaching and accountability.
Frustrates the client or the coach?
It frustrates us when we're working with people, because we're talking about dealing with people. That's the hardest thing, is is dealing with people, getting full-grown people that want something to take the resources and get the result, because it's a repeatable process. And I'm thinking about like, why? Like, why, right? And my nephew, he said this. He's like, because they want to win their way. They want to win their way. And that's when it hit me.
Right.
People want to stay in their comfort zone and get an uncomfortable result.
Definitely.
And I'm like, oh, so that's why it's not working. It's what are you willing to get uncomfortable to get? And I remember my mentor saying this. He's like, actually my boy Nate, he's my personal trainer, my best friend, did 11 years in prison, was waiting tables with me back in 2015, gets out, starts waiting tables with me, leaves there, and starts his own business and gets to 6 figures while I'm still waiting tables, right? So he inspired me like crazy, because I'm like, I had an 11-year head start on him, and he passed me up. And he goes, at this time, he goes, AJ, because I was just going by AJ. He's like, AJ, I want you to draw a circle on a piece of paper. And he's like, everything that you want, I want you to write it outside this circle. It's like, yeah, I want this car. I want this type of lifestyle. I want this type of person. And he goes, I want you to put me in the middle of that circle. And it's like, now look at it again. And he goes, everything you want is outside of your comfort zone. And what I realized is that most people aren't willing to get uncomfortable enough to get the result and burn the bridges and say, this has to work or it has to work.
Man, look, speaking of personal trainer, the amount of calories you have to burn to get in shape and have the body you want, it hurts. And so to your point, being uncomfortable hurts, and people don't like pain. And like, if your pain tolerance, or you don't have the amount of adversity to endure the pain of parting with your money because I got to pay a professional, or getting a no, or something not working immediately, or sacrificing a vacation, or sacrificing, I know you're from the Midwest, sweetest day.
Yeah.
You got to be able to sacrifice those things that you haven't been willing to part with. And those things hurt, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. And unless you're willing to do that, just like when you're in a gym, you got to lift and curl sometimes until you burn out because you're tearing the muscles apart. And so, man, I think that is the part that is very difficult for people. How does one help get a person to see it in that light, though? Is there... Because some people say you're either born with it or you're not. Mm-hmm. Leadership can be taught.
Yeah.
So John Maxwell has a different viewpoint. So, like, what's your viewpoint on that stance when someone is coming to you, but they're insisting on still doing it their way because they want to try to become, they want to get to your status being unscathed in any form or fashion?
Yeah. So I'm just real with people, bro. It's like, if you rock it with me, you can just see the movement that I have. Like. There's no question on like the level of kind of success that I'm having. Success, I put that in quotations, right?
100%.
But it's the work that I put in, right? It's the work that I'm willing to do, the sacrifices that I'm willing to make to let go of the TV and fantasy football and going to random lunches and staying on the phone for 2 hours talking about nothing, or watching the reality shows and being caught up in all of that stuff that's not serving you well. And I think that in business, my mentor, he was like, if you don't like your business, change your customers. And so what I realized was those people aren't for me. Those aren't my people. And I'm always real with people, like, this is going to take a lot of work. Now, this blueprint is here, but don't get it twisted. Like, you're going to have to put some work in, because if you don't put the work in, you're not going to be able to see the result. Why should you be able to deserve a thing that I'm willing to get up at 4:40 in the morning and work all the way to 8 p.m. to get it, and you wake up at 10, 11 and kind of do it a little bit and get the same results? So what I started doing was I realized those aren't my people, and my messaging would repel those people, which is like, if you're not this or that, then the results aren't going to be there. And that changed the game for me, which was some people are dreaming about doing stuff and other people are doing it. And so I just started trying to talk to the people that want to do something.
Definitely. No, and it's all in the messaging, and I think that you help to simplify it based upon, what you're sharing here. So let's talk a little bit about your business. So,
okay.
At what year did you start in what it is that you're doing now? Or is this even your first venture? Because I know sometimes people have had multiple things they've attempted.
Yeah. So I didn't realize it was entrepreneurship, but like I said, a lot of people in my family are entrepreneurs, right? Street entrepreneurs. And I think the first time I tried to do a hustle was selling candy. So in Southside Chicago, lady across the street from my grandma's house named Miss Marie, she would go to the wholesale store and get the sour candy, right? And you pay 50 cents or whatever, 5 cents for the candy. So I started getting it and then taking it to school and trying to sell it for 25 cents or whatever. But you get in trouble for that, you know what I'm saying? Because and then at that time, it wasn't that serious, but selling candy out of the house and become something that was illegal. So I was always like thinking of ways to make money because I grew up with lack. So anything sounded like a hustle to me, right? Which is why the streets always seem good because you're trying to put bread in your pocket. So the entrepreneurship journey was stagnant for a little bit up until I was literally like 35 because I was just like in that comfortable state, which is why I'm talking about that because I lived it, where I was waiting tables and making enough money to pay the bills and I had a little bit left over. So coming from the South Side of Chicago, making it past 25, got custody of my daughter, got my own place to stay, got an Impala, like a 2000
you was
Impala.
good.
I'm good at that point, right?
If you had an Impala, you was good.
Yeah. And I was good until I wasn't, right?
Right.
And that's when I was like, why am I getting so unhappy? I'm uncomfortable. Everybody's like, bro, your life's good. I realized that I'm stuck. And I'm stuck by my own comfortability of being in the situation. So probably it was 2017. My mom got sick, had to move her from Chicago down to Nashville. And that's when I needed more money than I had. So now I'm thrust into an uncomfortable situation because she got bills and health things I got to take care of. Plus I'm not able to work as much as I was working. And one day I take her to church at Mount Zion in Nashville, and it happened to be the pastor's anniversary. And my homeboy that I went to college with, named Tony, bro, he come walking out looking like $1 million, brand new suit on, fresh pair of shoes. And I was like, I don't know what he's doing, but whatever he has, like, that just ignited something inside of me. That I was like, I need to get around him. He started telling me about his mentor. I was also looking for somebody, you know what I'm saying, that looked like me that could help me. And that ignited that fire. And that's what got me into the financial services industry. So I did that, selling life insurance. Well, that solved one problem for me, but it also created another problem, which is I needed some people to make money off of. And they wanted me to call a list of friends and family. But I'm like, bro, my friends and family don't even work. They ain't got a job. So that's not going to work for me.
Right.
So I had to figure out how to generate leads. And the model that they had didn't work for me. And plus, I'm in Nashville.
So you're in a completely new territory.
Yeah, so I can't just go knocking on somebody's door at 7 p.m. as a black dude, right? Like, so that just wasn't going to work. And so I'm like, I've got to figure out how to generate leads online. And that's kind of how the social media stuff kind of took off.
So what year was this?
So this is 2018. I jump into the life insurance.
Okay.
And then 2019 of April is when I actually like did the entrepreneur dive, formed the LLC and everything. Because in that first 9 months, I was kind of struggling and stuck in 2018. And then at the end of it, it started to work.
Okay.
So now I'm like, I'm perspicacious again, which is like, if I'm having this problem and I solved it and he got this problem, I'm probably need to quit doing this and start offering this to y'all, and y'all all can be my customers.
Right. Now, before you proceed, I want to touch on something. You said you're 35 at this time.
Yes.
The reason I want to point that out is because people feel they have to start at like 18 to be successful.
Yeah.
You're, 35, but you were inspired to want change. So do you sometimes get people who are, mid, early 30s, possibly even touching 40, and they're like, it's over for me, bro. I don't know if I have it in me to be able to go out there and fail. Do you sometimes have to deal with that with people?
Man, so the frequency, honestly, just to keep it real, because that's like, yeah, I do. But honestly, the frequency that I operate at, bro, negative and lazy people, they not around me, bro. I don't even attract them for the most part because I annoy the crap out of them. I'm always doing something. I'm busy. I'm enthusiastic. Or I'm always yapping in a positive way, which I'm talking too much for the person that don't want to hear anything, has already got it figured out and stuck and can't pay their bills. So they're annoyed by me. So I don't even attract those people. And once I realize that work, I'm like, okay, I'm always doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm attracting like-minded people by the frequency that I put out and the movement that I do. But I would like to say something to those people,
100%.
which is your current situation is not your final destination. And in any instant, your life can change. And it starts with a decision. Decision that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you're fed up with having all the reasons why it won't work. And you need to start looking and leaning towards just finding one reason why it can. You see, change starts with optimism, which is a positive thought and engagement of the mind that can then force the body to move in a certain direction towards a goal, right? So there's like anxiety and anticipation. I learned this from Myron Golden. And he's like, anxiety is fear about a goal that doesn't serve you. But anticipation is kind of like Christmas morning where you could be tired, but them kids won't go to sleep. They can stay up all night looking for something. And you know when you're working on that project, like, bro, this finna cook.
Yeah.
You don't need sleep.
Right.
That energy comes, and that anticipation of it paying off in your favor is the thing that pushes you through. And if you can use that power to focus on that's the first thing that leads you into, that gets you on the road.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing, just to keep it real so it's not woo-woo, is now you got to find a plan that matches up, right? The math into the direction that actually gets you to do that. And we already broke down success. So if you can follow those blueprints, right? And then the other thing is, if you want to shortcut it, just find a mentor.
Definitely. So in touching on that, and then I want to get into your business. What's your take? Because obviously, you know, you're online, so I know you've probably heard this a million. You may or may not have. Why do I got to pay for it? Why don't you just help us out?
So here's the thing that I've learned about doing free mentorship.
Right.
Is people don't value it
at all
whatsoever. And the saying is, the more you pay attention. When you invest in yourself, the time and effort that the hours of your life that you had to give up to pay for that thing, it costs something.
Man, so every so often I give free access to some of my, high-end programs to try to help people out. And it's random. I might do a live and say the first 2 people who are whatever. Do you know we go and pull the metrics of how many times they actually log in? 99% of the times they never show up to nothing. People don't respect free.
No. Dude, I talk for a living. I talk to everybody that I can inspire, especially my people.
Right.
Do you know how much game I've literally given? Where some people can see me doing this, where they used to change my diapers, or we used to sleep 2 at the foot, 2 at the head, right? And they never asked me, like, bro, what are you doing? In a decade. And I'm their blood. We got the same blood.
I believe it.
And then other people that I can see the potential in. I have purchased a ticket for somebody to go to the same event that I did that I know they needed to go more than I do.
And they didn't show up.
And they did not show up.
Yeah.
Right? Because if there's no skin in the game, again, we will run away from pain, right? And people don't like pain. So if you pay, that hurts because it costs.
Yeah,
and if people don't pay, they
does.
don't pay attention. So I do a little bit of free because, like, I always want to give something.
100%.
But, man, like, it's just something that happens when that exchange of paying for something. But here's the other side to it. If I were getting free advice from you and I took and ran that play and it didn't work, I can't be mad at you because guess what?
It didn't cost you nothing.
It didn't cost me nothing. I gave it to you for free, so it didn't work.
People actually get mad at free advice, though.
But if I give you some bread
Right.
and you tell me to run and play and it doesn't work, now that I've exchanged that value with you, I can hold you accountable just like you can hold me accountable also. So that's the other side to the coin that people are missing. And man, if you're trying to do something, like, the thing that you can pay for is a little bit compared to what it's costing you not knowing the thing. So if something costs $1,000 and you've been trying to go from 5,000 to 10,000 without knowing that, that's costing you in 1 year $60,000. Or you could pay 1,000 and learn it once 5x your investment and now have a perpetual skill that will pay you forever. Like, what type of other formula would you want to look at?
Look, I mean, that's what I say. I don't know how much easier people want things to be, but there's a formula for literally everything, and speaking about formula, let's talk a little bit about your business and what it is that you do for individuals in the digital space, because you talked about, excuse me, you saw a need for people needing to get access to customers or clients. And I tell people one of the hardest things to do as a brand new business is get a customer.
Right.
Because often when a person starts a business, they have this high because in the beginning, they've sold all their friends, family, and relatives. So now they think, oh, man, this is going to be easy. Well, now you got to go out into the real world where people don't know you. And that's where people get stuck. But you help bridge that gap and simplify that.
Yeah.
So how does that happen for people? Like, how are you able to help them put together? I'm assuming it's a formula when it comes to online strategies.
Yes, it's a simple process. So when I realized this would actually work was I looked back and I was like, man, insurance is the hardest industry to get somebody to listen to you, let alone to pay you for something, for a couple of reasons, right? But the most important one is the generosity of somebody buying life insurance is a selfless thing because the only benefit is going to happen is after they're gone.
Yeah.
So you're selling an intangible result to something, and most men, you'd be surprised that we've helped. They're like, oh, dude, once I'm gone, I don't care what she does after that, right? Because I'm gone. So you're selling an intangible product for a future need that is not really that sexy to talk about, right? So I'm like, okay, but what are the principles of that? The first one is you need to have a recurring problem that you're going to solve for somebody that's perpetual. And then the other thing is you have to have a place and know where they are and where they hang out. So number one is you need a niche. You need to be able to solve a specific problem for a specific individual. And now you need to know, well, where do they hang out? Okay, and once you figure that out, it's what is the problem that you're going to solve for them? How are you going to get their attention? And the easiest way to get somebody's attention, to show them that you're an expert, is to help them, by actually helping them. And that's where you use content. You can solve micro solutions by leveraging social media, right? To be able to talk to people. So if you use that, now you've stopped them in their tracks. You've talked about their painful problem with the solution that you have. You showed them that you understand and thought about this problem more than they did. And now you guide them from this way to now you got their attention and you guide them towards you. And Google did this study. I don't know if you heard of it, probably have, but it's a 7-11-4 rule, which states that in order for people to trust you, because we're in a trust recession right now, right, people need to consume 7 hours of content over 11 different platforms and 4 different touch points. 11 different touch points over 4 different platforms. And what I realized is these things take time for people to warm up to you if you're taking a cold person and changing them to a stranger. So I've got to zoom out and have the right expectations of if I need a customer today, I should have been working on that Definitely. 2 weeks to a month ago to try to earn that business. You have to earn the business now. So when you have a system in place, you have to know that it's between a 14 to 28 day cycle to take a stranger and turn them into a paying client.
Correct.
So in knowing that, you just can reverse engineer the math on that. So once I got their attention, now they're in my ecosystem where I'm going to send them to a challenge, a webinar, or what I like is a VSL. It's the most simple and easy thing to set up. It's automated and it's predictable to get people to book a call with you, right? Because if you're doing a live challenge or something like that, and it's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, they're going to put down $1,000 and you're still going to have to have a phone call with them. Yeah. Why not just automate it and go straight to the phone call and solve it just from doing that and remove the variance of going live every single day? So now that's the conversion mechanism. In some way, you want to take them to some type of event to communicate and use that as a persuasive way to teach them, to educate them, and then ask them if they want to get this result, then they probably should come and work with you or to book a call or something like that.
So you're able to help anybody in any industry with that formula.
Yeah, because that's a simple funnel process, right? Okay. That's a repeatable thing. Insurance, real estate, corporate people trying to do something, barbers, online fitness people. It's a conversion process.
Correct.
You got to get attention. You have to be speaking to somebody clearly. If you're talking to everybody online, you're talking to no one. You have to share with them how you can help them solve their most painful problem, because money changes hands when problems are solved. Then you have to invite them to something where you can kind of showcase a little bit of what you do, some case studies, show them some proof or some results that you have. And then if they have this problem and they stay at this point, then they probably are a good fit for what you do. We got to limit a couple of spots. We're taking on a few more clients. If you're somebody that's serious and not curious and you're looking to go from A to B, you know this, then book a call.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, we're going to call you the king of formulas. We got a new nickname for my bro over here. He's the king of formulas. But really, it really is that simple. But again, as humans, we overcomplicate it because we want to do it our way.
We want to win our way, bro.
Win our way. Even Jordan had to listen to Phil. Was that his name? Phil Jackson?
Phil Jackson,
okay,
yeah.
Even
He's
Jordan
like, bro, you got all these titles, but you're not making anybody else around you better.
Nobody.
Bro.
He wasn't even winning before. So it's like you have to follow the formula. That's what made the triangle offense so popular and why it was effective. Formulas are effective. Blueprints are effective. A concept is effective. And so in helping, coaches, consultants, and helping people with a formula to be able to get more clients, like how does one then 5x, 10x those results? Do they just continuously do the same thing? Do they have to learn how to delegate? Do they got to pay for the expansion to get in front of more eyes?
Yeah.
What's that next level look like?
Man, so you are definitely a high-level entrepreneur because you're thinking about your viewers in that next step, which you kind of already know. And my mentor always says that you don't need more money, you need more people. So as things expand, like you have this small warm market, and then you have this other market of like a warm market, and then you get into a cold market. And what happens is you need more attention, you need more people to get around. So how do you do that? Well, I guess you can first start with your network, right? So anybody can make 1 to 2 sales just off their iPhone, right? The reason why is because if you offer something, what business do you go into exchange value with that you pay consistently? Maybe you can barter with them, right? Maybe you can help them. What about other people that already ask you for advice that you texting back and forth, telling the same thing over and over again, right?
Right.
What people that you went to school with, the numbers in your phone, you can start with that list. People on social media. Then you can start posting content, right? And then after you scale to a certain level.
Before that, not to cut you off, is the curation of the quality of the content important, or is it just getting it out there?
See, so for me, like, in my opinion, volume negates luck. That I'm going for the amount of frequency for 2 reasons. Even if you have an idea, you don't know if it's going to work or not. And the fastest way to figure out if it's going to work is if you put it out there and you do a lot of it for 2 things. You're going to get better at saying it, and then eventually if you say it long enough and put up enough value, you're going to get lucky. It's just going to work, and that feels like luck. So I'm always like, bro, do it scrappy. I'm from the south side of Chicago, so everything starts out scrappy. Right. And then once I start working, I like hire experts like, all right, bro, hey, we need to fix this and we need to fix this. I'm like, you sure? You're like, yeah, bro, it's time. You know what I mean? But I'm starting scrappy in the beginning because I want to get out of that phase as fast as possible. Out of that's the worst phase to be in. Scarcity, insecure, not good, it's not working. So I want to eviscerate that because my confidence is going to come in when I can show up as that leader and change the thermostat in the room. Right. So I want to push that. I want to push past that phase as fast as possible with unlimited execution.
Y'all heard that? Just start. That's half people's battle. They don't start. They're trying to win the game from the sidelines. And unless you're on a championship team, I don't think that's possible. And so you put together the formula, you put out the content, start scrappy,
right?
And then you refine as you go along. You hire experts. You start, expansion.
Reinvest into yourself,
reinvesting back into yourself. And
people want to see that part too. We miss that. Like, people just don't want to see the finished product. Like, people may not do business with you right now because sometimes they know you, that you switched so many times and you started things many times. Sometimes people want to invest in you, but they don't know if you're going to be doing this in 6 months. So sometimes they'll just wait just to see if you stick with it, bro.
Yeah.
When I was doing insurance, people didn't buy from me until a year later. And I was like, why did you buy from me now? He was like, man, I just want to see if you was going to stick through this, bro.
That's why I tell people you got to stay in long enough to win. And but people give up because it's like, oh, nobody's showing up to my party. Well, you threw 5 other ones that didn't go right. They need to know that this one is gonna last long enough. So let's talk a little bit about your book you have coming up. Productize. That's an ill name.
Yeah.
The one-person business blueprint, again, formula for experts, coaches, and consultants. I would like to ask what's the motivation behind it. I know why, but can you share with the viewers like the motivation and why put this out now, after being on this journey as long as you have?
I mean, it was inspiration, right?
Definitely.
It was almost a pull that I had to do it. So let me back up. One of my first goals for 2025 was to write another book.
Okay.
But I kept putting it off. I'm like, oh man, I don't got time for that. I'm trying to scale the business. And there's always this moment in life where something kind of hits you. And when you get exposed to it, you're never the same.
Right.
With your relationship or somebody you with, somebody you meet, an event in your life, you get hit with this event that it just, like your cells just change. And I think when we went to the podcast summit in Atlanta, it opened my eyes to a bigger opportunity, an impact that I could have, which was the people were not taking action because they didn't have clarity. And I also realized that experts were waiting for permission in regards to something, because we've all like, you got to go to school to get a good grades in education. And like, bro, if I was a kid and I heard the first thing somebody asked me was how my grades, that used to piss me off so bad when I was not how I'm doing or whatever, the first thing they asked me. So we've been trained that you have to get this validation from something else in order to be good, right?
In their eyes. Yeah.
So that stays with us. That
And
we're
they
looking for
usually ain't
permission.
good. They're usually not good.
Dude, we're just regurgitating information and it's
For real.
memorization, right?
Right.
So I'm like, oh, these people are looking for this sign to kind of move out. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do that. And then I'm like, man, there's so many people that have a skill set that they're not valuing because it comes to them really easy. And then I heard Nehemiah Davis say, what is the thing that comes to you easy that's difficult for others? And I'm like, oh, when it comes easy to us, we think that everybody else has that skill too, and we kind of minimize it. And I'm like, no, that's the thing that you need the expertise, you need to take it, package it out there, and put it out there. You need to turn it into a product. You need to productize your skill set or your information. And
by the way, did you trademark that name yet?
Yes.
Okay, I'm about to say somebody might steal. That's an ill word right there.
And so the productize, and it's a word that's a mouthful, but it sums up what you need to do with your expertise. You need to bottle it up, you need to package it like Heinz ketchup, and you need to put it on the shelf, right? And the funniest thing about when you take action, you put things out there to the atmosphere, like it's the gravity pull that it kind of attracts the eyeballs. Like, what is that? When did that get here? It just like it's there and you can never unsee it. Right. But most people are experts only in their mind of the thing that they're doing, and they stay there.
Right.
And they don't realize, like, man, I wish somebody would. Some people always thinking, man, I wish somebody would create this. I wish somebody would do. And that idea that you have, you don't write it down or you don't stamp it, right? You don't take action on it, and it just passes through your head. I probably could have been an 8-figure entrepreneur in my 20s, but I had so many ideas that I just let pass through my mind and through my hands that I didn't do anything with. And that's why I'm like, okay, we got to wake up. It's like, hey, you have a skill set. You got an expertise. If you've been able to solve the problem for yourself and someone else, you're expert. You're working for somebody else, getting a result. If you want to stop trading your time for money, the only way that you're going to be able to do that is you need to productize the expertise that you have, right? The other thing is with the evolution of AI, which nobody wants to talk about, is entrepreneurship is going to become the new 9 to 5, right?
It really is already now.
Yeah, because you got to look at history that repeats itself. Yeah. Back in the day, our uncles and stuff, they went to trade school, bro. That's how they kind of grew up. That nobody just wanted to go to college. They went and got a trade. Well, now you're going to have to find a lane to be an expert in and know that thing and leverage AI that's going to make you valuable. It's going to have to integrate with those two things. So you're going to have to become an expert and have a skill set or something, and then you're going to have to master leveraging AI to make an impact and do multiple things that add value to a company that keeps the labor down and the profit up.
Right.
And if you can get into my business and make me more money than I'm paying for my payroll, that's $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 a month, and you're like, hey man, You can hire me for $10,000 and I'll do all the work for everybody in your business, and I can save you an extra $50,000, $60,000.
I pay that twice on Sundays. I pay that all day and every day because I'm minimizing my expense, but I'm expanding through automation. And so as we wrap up, let's touch on that a little bit because I did want to touch on that. Why are people scared of AI?
Again,
and I'm using scared very loosely.
Well, this is the purpose, because we just talked about this too. Is a lot of times fear comes from ignorance, right? And exposure equals expansion. If you've never been exposed to a situation where you had to use your creativity or your experience to do something to expand for others, then you're thinking that it's going to take something from you.
Correct.
But in this phase, AI has democratized the ability to have success. Let's just keep it real. This is the easiest time for Black wealth to be created that ever been in history, right?
1,000%.
So now that we have this runway that's open, AI allows us to be geniuses, that we can take an idea and turn it into enterprise with ease. So the fear comes from resisting and thinking that it's a foe instead of a friend. Again, it's all in how you look at things.
Right, 100%.
How can you use this to make money? If you ask yourself first, how can I use AI to make money? Now that's a dumb question. Just ask AI, how can I use AI to make money?
So where does someone start? Let's let the viewers know. How can someone just get on the runway of leveraging AI to get their ideal or start from, you know, with their creativity? Are there some tools that they can use? Someone
this is really easy.
Someone may not even have a bunch of money. So like, where do they start at?
So what, can I look at this right here?
You can look at any camera you want to.
So if I'm just beginning and I'm like, I have no idea, and I've been where you are, this is the easiest thing to do. You can, inside of ChatGPT, first of all, go to open.ai and download ChatGPT. And then the first thing, they have this feature where you can just, like, on the side, there's a microphone, and then there's like a little white circle with some lines on it. You can hit that. And
It's great to meet you. How's your day going? I'm really looking forward to.
And so I can click that, and I can go, hey, chat. So I'm trying to figure out a unique skill set that I have, and I want to create generational wealth for myself. And I'm a beginner and not really knowing anything about business. And I just want you to ask me some questions so I can uncover what my unique ability and skill set that may be something that I could use to productize, like this guy that I'm watching on TV, to show me some ideas around creating generational wealth for myself in the form of a digital product. So I want you to ask me 5 to 10 questions to help me uncover that. And then based off that information, I want you to ask me those questions one by one, by the way. Then after you answer those, then I want you to give me 10 suggestions of ideas that I can start to execute on to create some value in the form of a digital product.
It's that simple.
It's that simple. And once you get done, what'll happen is it'll ask you the questions one by one, and you answer them. It'll uncover it, and then it'll give you the ideas. Now, the reason why that's important is because what I want you to understand is it's going to get you on the road. It's going to open the mind. It may not give you the exact idea, but it will spark the idea that it's a little bit adjacent to that thing. And now you're like, okay, I got it. But here's the most important piece. Most people will do that, but they won't do anything with it.
There's no other additional execution after that.
Right. And I'm about to go on Omar's podcast after this, and he said this thing that's profound is you are responsible for your awareness. So once you know something, you are now responsible for being diligent and doing that. So now that you know how easy it is, because I just showed you how you can create at least 10 to 20 business ideas to productize the expertise that you have, you can do that in seconds. And then after you figure that out, you can say, okay, give me a business plan that I can make my first $1,000 online. And right then, in seconds, you have just created wealth for yourself digitally.
It's that simple.
And now all you got to do is run the play.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is literally that simple. But going back to what I said earlier, we have to be held accountable to want to tap into that awareness.
Yeah.
And we pretty much have eliminated all your excuses on you now hedging inflation by finding a blueprint to help you make an additional $500 a month, an additional $1,000 a month, or whatever it is. And so let's talk a little bit about, I see you're the host of your own podcast, Social Selling Podcast. I'm sure it's pretty much just you giving massive game on there. Where can they find that podcast? And, and what is it that you're talking? Are you pouring into the people and giving them strategy? What is that? What are you showcasing on there?
It's a great point. So you can go to, if you go to Instagram, you can click the link. It'll either take you to the Productize book thing, or you can join a community that I have called the Productize community, where I'm actually I'll do a weekly call where I'm pouring into people and doing that. But what was the question? What was the last question?
Are you
about the social selling podcast?
About the social selling podcast.
Yeah. So the social selling podcast is a journey that shares entrepreneurship, the real stuff, the journey that people going on, the real raw thing. Because I feel like online we talk about like how much you can make and this and that, but it really doesn't show what it takes and why people are having the success. And I really want to showcase how people have learned and earned the credibility and the success that they do, because what I've realized is if you start talking about people can do this, they immediately write you off with all these limiting beliefs that they have. And the only way that you can kind of break them and bust them out, to break them down and bust them, is by sharing your journey, because that's your truth. And when you share your story, what happens is people are like, they take you out and put themselves in. Oh, if he came from the South Side of Chicago and can do this, then I can do this. Oh, he waited tables. Oh, I'm working in a laundromat. Like, I can do this. It's like, oh, he came up with this idea. And now they start seeing that it's real because you're a real person. So now it's not like, oh, he got this money from his dad, or he came into an inheritance, or this thing, or he's too far gone. It doesn't seem attainable for me. So that's what the social selling podcast is break down entrepreneurship and show me how you became an expert and give away all the sauce and no gatekeeping. And so they can go to the Social Selling Podcast. It's on YouTube under Arturo Johnson Business. So I got 2 channels.
Okay.
I just launched a brand new channel just specifically coming from Podcast Summit, right? I was like, all right, I'm going to start a brand new podcast. And it's a small channel, but the way social media has changed, now I'm looking for those 1,000 true fans. And that's why I built this new channel. So that's where they can go, Arturo Johnson Business on YouTube.
Ladies and gentlemen, he said facts tell, stories sell. Sell your story. That's the final sprinkle on top of that cupcake. Sell your story, sell the stories, your journey. Talk about the success, the wins you've helped other people cultivate. And so, man, definitely I appreciate you coming on today, bro. This has definitely been one for the books. I told y'all we only bring legends here, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I could say that we bring people less than legend status here, but then I would be lying. So any last words you would like to share with the people? How can they follow you across all your platforms and all of that good stuff, man?
Yeah, I do have one. To anybody that's out there that thinks that, this entrepreneurship thing is too hard and they can't figure it out, what I want to say to you is you have to believe that right now your current situation is not your final destination. And the moment that you start focusing on the solutions rather than the problems is when you get the momentum to turn for change. And then the other thing is believe in your ability to figure it out. When you're on the road to success, when people see you shift and turn, the universe, God, will provide you everything that you need. Everything that you need is already around you. It's just your awareness to the solution that you start looking for. And when you start sharing and talking and communicating, you know they say a closed mouth don't get fed. When you start saying, hey, man, I'm trying to get on as many podcasts as I can. Hey, man, I'm starting this nonprofit. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to help these young kids. People will get behind what you're trying to do when they see you on a journey, because we love to be a part of something. But a lot of times we just dwell in our own mind and wallow in the things that we have going on because life is tough. But I want to say to you, I want to inspire you, keep going, keep fighting, and believe in your ability to figure it out.
Just like that. Look, failure is not final. It's just the data. So, look, I appreciate y'all tuning in to the Full-Time CEO podcast. Oh, drop the socials. You didn't tell them the handles.
Yeah, so people can find me on Arturo Johnson Consulting on Instagram, and then Arturo Johnson Business on YouTube, and I always suggest people just go there. Now, people want to go to the links, but I always
Google them.
Yeah, go to
He gonna come up.
my Instagram. I'm most active there, and you can send me a DM if you found this podcast valuable. But yeah, go there, and the goal of there is to show people that look like me that you can do anything that you want if you put your mind to it. With the right mentorship, with the right preparation, and the right process, you can do anything.
Just like that. Ladies and gentlemen, we've concluded another episode of the Full-Time CEO podcast, where we interview businessmen, businesswomen, entrepreneurs, and clearly legends. So make sure you like, comment, follow, and share. And more importantly, y'all already know the drill. I'll see y'all at the top. Let's go.
You can't save your way out of poverty. If the bank is going to take your money invested in real estate, how come we not doing that? We got to focus on ownership. We have to own shit. I love investing in real estate. It's the one tangible asset class that has stood the test of time.